In Gaza City, 2 years of war has left deep scars. Smoke rises behind damaged buildings as residents walk through destruction. Displaced Palestinians carry their belongings, seeking shelter in tents and schools. Let's listen into some of the displaced Palestinians.
تابعها عن كثب وهناك بارقة أمل بأن المفاوضات ستؤتينا بفرج قريب وتنتهي هذه المقتلة وأن يتنفس السكان هنا الصعداء بعد عامين من القتل والتشرد والتجويع ونقص في الغذاء والماء والدواء.
هذه إبادة جماعية، إبادة إنسانية. الحرب لحتى الآن إحنا بنعاني منها من فقر، بنعاني منها من مجاعة، بنعاني منها من تشريد، بنعاني منها من جميع أنواع الشغلات اللي بتخلي البني آدم يكش من نفسه. يعني زيها زي البني آدم اليوم تطلع فيه زي اللي ميت وزي اللي عايش.
بيتنا فقدنا، سيارتنا فقدنا، مصدر الدخل اللي كان إلنا اللي هو السيارة، وفقدنا أراضينا، سبنا أراضينا في جباليا، في جباليا ومكان عيشنا، وطلعنا على غرب غزة. في غرب غزة كمان ما فيش حاجة، فيش كان دخل إلنا ومصدر عيش إلا زكيم، وزكيم كان كل يوم فيها موت، فكان الإشي معاناة أكبر. إيش لما أودي ابني أو جوزي يجيب لي أكل من زكيم وكل يوم يجي بدي الأكل كم شهداء، فكانت هذه معاناة أكبر.
Now for this discussion, we go back to Professor Kobe Michael. He's a senior researcher at INSS and Miskov Institute. Joins us live from Israel. Thank you, Professor, for staying with us. Now, looking back at this war and the negotiations, what can the current negotiations and negotiators learn from the past failed negotiations as well as the Oslo Accords?
There is a huge difference. First of all, this negotiation is, I would say, very contained to a very specific area, a very specific event or crisis, and this negotiation is, I would say, an outcome of an American initiative led by the American president. All the prestige of the American president, all his determination is in this plan, in this negotiation. And therefore, I think that there are huge differences between this round of negotiation and the previous rounds. When it comes to the Oslo Agreement, if you are going to Article 19 of this plan, which talks about reopening the path towards the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, just reopening the path, not establishing a Palestinian state, you can find a sort of a similar organizing rationale to the Oslo Agreement. But I think that all of this plan is concentrated mainly on the Gaza Strip, and in the eyes of President Trump, this is the path towards his grand vision, his regional vision, the idea of creating or establishing a new regional architecture that cannot be done without ceasing the war in the Gaza Strip. So here it's not, the Oslo Agreement was a bilateral agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. Here we are talking about sort of a multilateral event. We see the Turks and the Qatarians as mediators, which are empowered by the Americans, and we see that the intentions eventually of the initiator of this plan, who is President Trump, the intention is a regional intention and not necessarily, and not most importantly, the Israeli-Palestinian bilateral level.
And Professor, lastly, as we send our prayers and condolences to the victims of Hamas's 2023 attack, in Israel, how are families reacting to the 2 years without any significant breakthrough in these negotiations?
Look, the 2 years anniversary is a very, I would say, troubling and and sad day in Israel. And the idea that there are still hostages held and kept by Hamas in the Gaza Strip is something that eventually just adds to the sadness, or adds to the, I would say, the unrest of the Israeli psyche when it comes to the Israeli society. I think that this is a very deep and open wound in the fabric of the Israeli society, and by the way, it will remain such even after the release of the hostages. The entire event of this barbaric attack of October 7th is something that will remain as a very deep scare in the Israeli psyche for generations to come. This is not an event that the people of Israel will forget, or this is not something that the Israeli society can move on as if it is a historical event. Not at all. Things have been changed dramatically in the Israeli attitude, in the Israeli psyche, and I think that this is something that will affect dramatically the attitude of the Israeli public with regard to any future agreement with the Palestinians.
With that, I would like to thank Professor Kobi Michael for joining us and sharing your insight on this topic. And now we stay on this topic. In southern Israel, visitors gathered at the Nova Music Festival memorial site to mark 2 years since the devastating October 7th, 2023 attack on that day. Hamas targeted young festival goers, killing over 1,200 people and taking 251 hostages back to Gaza. Among the victims remembered were Yuval Baron and her fiancé Moshe Shua. Let's listen in to what their family has said.
Supposed to get married on February the 14th, Valentine Day, and both of the family decide, because actually they found together and they brought us them together. The fuel will be together. We will not separate them. So we decide to make together the fuel, and also they were buried next to each other because they will never separated. So we can't separate them. Nothing else is important. Nothing else is can be complete, because she's my heart, and they took it from me. I can never be happy, complete, ever again.
Families of the victims continue to grieve deeply, keeping their memories alive through portraits and flowers at the site. Meanwhile, Israel's ongoing military campaign in Gaza has launched, and in response to the attack has resulted in more than 67,000 Palestinian deaths and widespread devastation in the Gaza Strip. Now we stay in this region. Syrian Defense Minister Muraf Abu Qasra